Good evening, everybody. It's your hostess with the mostest and your brother from another mother that truly ain't got no other. It's AB.Marley. Hey guys, how we doing today?
And it's your girl Nevaeh, your sister from another mister, because you know Papa was a
Rolling Stone. Hey.
Alright, y'all. So you already know today is a Tuesday, which means that we definitely gotta talk about it.
Hey. But we're definitely going to be talking about, this is going to be like a two-part video. So the first one is going to be about prisons. And then the second part of it is going to be what happens after. So prison reform, the aftermath.
Basically, yeah. So we're just going to shoot a couple facts here real quick, and then we're going to get right to that. Alright, so in the U.S. alone, there is 2.3 million people who are incarcerated a year.
Yeah, man.
Out of that 2.3 million, you have 6.3 million people, which would be people who would already be on probation and people who are newly released getting on probation. So it's not like two different numbers.
No, it's basically like, you know how like you would get your kids and everybody would get in trouble, so if one did something they all get blamed for the same thing. It's the same process when it comes to probation and being released from jail. Everybody's on the same, everybody's in the same category pretty much.
I guess we're gonna roll with it. So out of that, you have 600,000 people who get released from prison every year, which that 600,000 would attribute to that 6.9 million people who would be on probation, obviously. So there are 1,719 state prisons, 102 federal prisons, and then there are 1,852 jails in the U.S.
That's crazy. Wait a minute. So then, I would like to know about the percentage of how many people go,
And I mean, and there's even juvenile jails that are included in that too.
Yeah.
So with that, you have 47% of white women who are incarcerated, 18% are black women, which means that the other 35% would be other. And then as for males, you would have 34% for black men, and then
29% of white men, 24% of Hispanics. That's a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Dang.
So they got like a little bit of everything. Those guys.
Yeah. I'm actually very surprised by that. Like, actually, really, it sucks.
It does. I guess it just goes to show that maybe women don't get caught for as much crimes, maybe.
It's more than just that, but okay.
Whatever.
If y'all never seen Deadliest Women Ever, y'all don't know just yet. If y'all never seen Snap before, y'all just don't know yet.
Alright guys, so if you don't know, prisons like federal prisons and state prisons are a big market in the U.S., especially here in the U.S. So basically what happens the reason why prisons are so crowded and why they always keep people in there is because they're making money off of it. So if you go under a certain amount of people,
they can shut the whole thing down.
The prisons do get shut down. So
that's a really dumb thing, because in my eyes, the way I look at it is, that's a good thing, because people who are going to jail less, that means they should be being able to be reformed. That means they're being a good citizen. But the fact that you want people to be in there so that you can make money off of free labor and amongst other things.
Well, look at it this way. If you got a prison and it's crowded, you're getting like $150 per day per prisoner. You know how much money? And that's especially like state prisons and federal prisons are totally different.
Of course, that's what I was gonna say. What are the differences between the federal prisons and the state prisons?
So with the difference between state and federal prisons is federal prisons actually are more so privately funded prisons. And they have better systems. Like they have better food, they have better education programs, they have better things for their inmates to be able to do, as opposed to a state prison that is funded by the state. So that's where your tax money goes as a taxpayer.
Now, wait a minute.
And prisoners who are like really like hardcore like prisoners go to like state prisons.
But okay, so here's where my brain is a bit rattled. Doesn't that mean that state prisons would be more packed than federal prisons?
Yeah.
Because the security, and that's the thing that bothers me. A federal prison has more security and it has better ways of keeping control of the inmates that are in there. Mm-hmm. But yet the state prisons have the least amount, but they get the most people.
It's all about money. The more money that pours into something, the better you're gonna get for whatever it is you're trying to get. Federal prisons have $80 billion that are funded into them every year. Yes, $80 billion that are funded into these prisons, which is why it's so important that people stay incarcerated. So it's never about people trying to go to prison to get reform. It's never about them trying to go and get a better life. It's all about making money at the end of the day.
And then they can keep track of you, because now that they have a record of you, and every time you apply for a job, somebody can denounce you just based off your record, which is to me is not fair. Because it's in fact, if I went to jail and I served my time, if I went to, whether it's a state prison, federal prison, whatever my crime is, if I served my time, then there should be no freaking reason why that should be accounted onto my record any longer than that. Because
I can understand that. It's the simple fact of it's like having a driving record. You get tickets. It's gonna pile up and it's gonna show up on your record.
Yes.
Because those are things that you have done.
And it's the same thing with a DUI, honestly, because I've noticed that through my years of the experience, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, they're like, 3 strikes you're out. And I'm like, but there are people that I see that come in here that's like, oh, this is my 6th time. Or this is my umpteenth time. And I'm like, wow, so you're treating someone who had it the one time for the one time worse off than the person who's done it multiple different times. And no offense to that individual, but how in this world are you not locked up? Because you clearly don't care about anybody else's life but your own when you get slapped. Hey, listen here.
Defense team.
If I can get a nice one, I'll be alright too. But my point is,
that's how you wanted the answer.
I didn't have a good, and I didn't have a good one. I can tell you that right now.
That's how lawyers. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about who can afford what. So it's about money. It's still about money. It's never about the crime that you commit.
It's about
you and money. I wouldn't even say that. You and another person can't commit the same crime
but get 2 different sentences.
And it could be the same offense for both. It could be both of your same offense, and you could get locked up for 20 years for it, and the other person could get 3 months probation.
Oh yeah, and that's what boggles my mind. It's based on the circumstances, the person that you have as your lawyer, the people that are in your corner when it comes to a jury, and it's never about your word, because that doesn't matter at this point. It's based on evidence, and the evidence proves that you are the innocent one. But for me, and I'm not saying it's everybody, but I've come to know that people get framed with evidence and messed up society. So I can't even believe that now, because like you can sit here and say, well, this person had done this and that, and here's the evidence to prove it. But it's like, even with all this evidence that proves that this, like, for an example, when somebody gets shot and killed, when somebody gets beat up, when there's clear videos of stuff happening, there are clear videos of showing what this person is doing, but yet you still get to walk away free. They still don't charge you for the actual crime that you did.
I ain't even gonna talk about the judicial system. That's a whole other. You know what? You know what? Stay tuned to part 3.
Okay. We're gonna talk about it, okay? Because that just lit my fire. I'm sorry. That blew that out of me. You understand me? That's some bullshit.
The judicial system is a whole nother ballgame.
But anyway, I understand what you're talking about. 2 people can commit the same crime but get sentenced to 2 different things, and it can be based on, and to me, it's just my opinion, but I've seen it more times than I can count. Based on gender, and it's based on freaking nationality, because like it's the way that people perceive things. And my thing is this: like I said before, if I went to jail, I went to prison, and I'm not a pedophile, or I'm not a serial killer, then
I think you are a serial killer.
Aw, you're so nice to me.
I've seen you eat a couple boxes of cereal before.
First of all, I have not. It's been a long time since I had anything with cereal. But my point is, it's like unless you're, those two things,
unless
in
you
my
are,
opinion, and you're stuck in it, and you're never getting out of that. You can never get that away. You can't bring somebody back to life. You can't bring back somebody's mentality when a child goes through that. So you should be locked up. But accountability for everybody else. If I made that mistake and I have not gone back to it, and you're not holding it against my record, and I can go back into the life I once had, that's completely different.
It depends, because there's different things that I'm not going to say in this one. I'm going to say in the next one. But there are some things that you can do to further your life outside after you have been released.
Yeah, that's true.
There are programs, there are things that you can do. But even still, even with that, there are things that you can also do while you are incarcerated to try to better yourself while you are in there. Whether you are in there for a long term or short term, prisons do offer AA programs. They do offer courses that you can take to get degrees and things of that nature. They do offer
like medical?
They offer religious programs and anger management programs. So these are all things life skills programs. So these are all things that you can pick up while you are in there, trades and things of that nature. There are so many people who are incarcerated that are so talented that can do wonders with their hands.
They really can.
That can draw phenomenally. That can make the heck out of some stuff.
That's me.
Okay. But even with the prison system, it's not all bad. It just depends on what prison you go to. It depends on where it is, who the people are that work there, and the programs that they have in place for the prisoners. They do spend about $26,665 on their inmates just for their health care, which would be medical expenses, psychiatric help, and pharmaceuticals, which would be medicine that they do need to take. So it's not as if they're not getting any help in there at all.
So let me get this straight. You can be locked up and have everything that you could ever want. 3 square meals a day. You get Medicare.
Yeah.
You get dental.
Yeah.
You can get an education.
Yeah.
But you can't do that outside the fucking prison?
Well, it depends. Because depending on what facility you are locked in, that you are incarcerated in, that depends on the type of education you can get. Because sometimes you might not have to pay. Sometimes you do gotta pay. Like, you can go to school to be a barber. You could go to school to be a lawyer. You could go to school to do like all these things. So even when you do get out, you have something. You have some type of trade, something that can help you
be on your way. But but see, that's where it's like fucked up to me, because people on the inside get even though it depends on the vicinity, you get more benefits than if you're on the outside. So to me, that's like, you don't want to help the people that are locked up, but you still don't want to help people who are not locked up, who are struggling outside these means, and we're taking all these taxes and bringing it to the jails.
Yeah, but at the same time, our life compared to their life is different. They're in there for a crime that they may or may not have committed, and depending on the crime, depends on how long they're going to be in there. And some people are in there and they're in solitary confinement, and they don't have any type of contact with humans at all, except for the people that probably bring them their food, and that's it.
That's not even any kind of contact anyway, because they all they do is open the thing up, slide it under, and
exactly.
And honestly, listen, we're social creatures, so being in solitary confinement or putting yourself in that situation yourself is not a healthy thing to do, because then you have no one else to talk to but yourself. So you could become a person that can let the darkest part of your thoughts come out. And then it's like anybody that gives you any form of attention can literally just manipulate you into doing anything that they want.
I think a big thing is that people don't realize that when you have a loved one or a friend who is incarcerated, you're doing the time with them, even if you're not physically there.
Oh, of course, because now they got to visit you. They got to see what the experiences that you go through. I mean, hell, if you don't have someone that you can talk to on a regular basis, you will go mad.
Of course, I mean it's
wow.
Just as hard for them as it is for the people that are on the outside, because we can't contact them when we want to. We can't see them. You can't see them the way you want to. You can't hug them the way you want to. You can't be intimate with the person the way you want to.
Nope.
You have to explain to your children, whether you are a man or a woman.
Yes.
Like, hey, this is what mommy or daddy did, and this is why they are here.
Some people don't even do that.
Some people don't even do it. Some people don't even, get around to even telling their kids that, When it comes to being on the outside, always looking in, because, you can't be there for them the way how you and I are here for each other. You can't, they can't, and it's even just the simplest things, like, even like just like a phone call, or like if you miss a call, you can't call them back.
Oh yeah,
and
you gotta be on cue with that. You gotta have a set schedule. You gotta know what's going on.
And it's like even like getting like mail that you get that you receive, or that you get
constantly
that you send,
checked.
It gets checked. It's like there's no type of privacy at all.
No, you don't get nothing. You out in the open, and then like you gotta remember that. Okay.
I mean, even still, like, and this is more to it, because like, people who are incarcerated, like sometimes they can get permission to leave so that they can go to funerals or things like that. But imagine the person who has been incarcerated for life, who has life, no possibility of parole, and everyone that they know is dying while they're in there, and they can't do nothing but just hear about it.
Yep.
And eventually, the people that used to come,
those
people are gone, and now they're there just by themselves.
Yep. That's the eternal punishment that you receive. And I can understand why they put them incarcerated for the rest of their life. Personally, for me, I get it. You want to recheck the case. You want to find some new evidence. You want to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they're not the person who did it. And I get that, because we don't want to play God all the time. Well, in some cases. But that's what boggles the freak out of my mind, though. Because then all that is just an extra wad of cash that you're going to get. And you get free labor out of this person.
Definitely. Oh, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, but that's
like,
what I'm saying.
People like, people who are incarcerated, obviously it kind of goes against one of the amendments, which is like you're not supposed to like have slaves and cruel and unusual punishment. But you don't even realize, like, people who are incarcerated, they do get jobs, and they work for like very little, and they do get money from that, but it's like a little bit that accumulates over time.
Your checks outside this world looks better than their checks on the inside, and it's not even a check. It's literally just like, here's whatever you made for this day.
And it's just like they get worked so hard to do these things, and they get little to no pay for it. But you can't say that it's like free labor, because they're still getting paid for it, because they do have jobs. They are assigned to jobs in the prisons.
That's basically like, okay, that's every other job. Everybody wants a higher paycheck from a job that you knew that wherever that you worked at, these are the things that you agreed to do in order to get this paycheck. This is something that they did not agree to do, but this is the job that they have been assigned to, and you got to do it. That's the difference between you on the outside and somebody on the inside. Not only do you get paid more than they do, but you agree to the terms of what you came to do for that job compared to them. they're only agreeing to get some form of money, but they have to be worked twice as hard as you. So be appreciative of what you have, because you never know. As soon as you walk away from something, and then you realize how valuable it truly is. You don't understand the freedom that you have, but truly valuable. You have to find life within yourself to be able to say, I enjoy what I have. I'm going to make the best out of it, because when all that stuff is taken away from you in a moment's notice, you start to really start caring about it. That's a scary thought. When you get locked up, when the handcuffs hit your freaking wrist and send your ass moving, that
you have no sense of freedom. Anything that you knew from your life is no more.
It's done. You have to be told what to do. You have to go to certain places. Nobody wants to answer your questions. People that are in there are on their own accord. And then if they're not right set in the mind, shit can be scary as hell. Don't play that game. Don't sit here and say that I can go back to jail and that's the prison life that I'm used to living, because honestly, I wouldn't wish that upon nobody that truly didn't deserve it for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, there are a lot of people who do get on death row and do stay on death row for a while. But I've learned that the reason why people who are on death row, why they don't get sentenced to death immediately, is because they are appealing. So they have to wait for whatever appeals that they are doing to go through before they actually sentence them to death, because they don't want to terminate them and then an appeal goes through or whatever the case is. But we are going to see you guys on part 2.
Yes.
This is Nevaeh.
This is AB.Marley.
And we bees out.
Peace.